there. My name is Ryan Ehrfurth. I'm the Digital History and Maps Librarian at the State of Arizona Research Library. Our repository that would be going into Mountain West is the Arizona Memory Project. So this presentation is going to be about how we sort of reuse one scan that we do and use that scan for multiple projects. So that way we're sort of hitting multiple birds with the same stone. So our team, the State of Arizona Research Library proper, we've got about a staff of 14, and we have some various volunteers and interns that help us out with some projects. All of us are involved in digitizing in some way or another. A lot of that comes in through patron requests. So a patron will say, hey, they may be out of state or otherwise unavailable to come to the reading room, or they did come to the reading room and they want a digital copy of something. They may ask any one of us for a scan of something, and depending on sort of, who is handling the patron request, we'll go and check copyright first, and then we'll go and make those scans for them. So that was impressive. Yeah, right. So some of our collections, just to sort of give you an idea of the types of materials that our patrons are looking for. We have federal publications. We are a regional depository library for the Federal Depository Library Program, so anything that the federal government prints through the government printing office, we get a copy of that. So that's millions of things. We also have our state agency publications, Arizona Collection, which is books, periodicals, magazines relevant to Arizona. We have law materials, newspapers, and genealogy resources as well. So all this information is on our website, so if patrons find something that they want digitized, could come from any one of those things. So we do have a reading room. One of the reasons that scanning is something that we offer as a service on a regular basis is that the collections we do have are non-circulating, and they are closed stacks. So you can't sort of, patrons can't sort of go in and browse. They have to look through a catalog, and they can't ever leave the building except through ILL. So we do participate in interlibrary loan, but sometimes that takes weeks, and they may need it the next sooner than that. And if we can just go find it and we're able to make a scan of it, we can do that, send it off to them in email. Some of our library materials are available online. We have sort of like a sub-resource called the Digital Arizona Library. Those are all digital resources, but of course, that's not everything. So, in those instances where someone finds something in one of our collections that is not available online, they will ask for scans, which makes sense. So we have two types of things, scanning going on. We have planned scans. So those are things that we know are going into the Arizona Memory Project, or story maps, and I'll get into what both of those things are a little more specifically later. And then we have sort of on-demand, and so those are the ones that aren't controlled. They're not part of a workflow or a Gantt chart that we've sort of put together. Those are just, patron contacts us and says, I'm looking for this resource. Can you make a scan of it? Or for whatever type of request that they have. So those are the ones that sort of come out of the blue in a sense. So we have two main sources that we use. So we have a Zoichel, a nice overhead scanner, so we can use those for our bound books, our newspapers, our maps. It has like a scanning window of like 24 inches by 22 inches, something like that. So if we have a larger document, then we usually go for that one. And usually we use the Ryko for in-house stuff, and so that's just going to be your standard, paper sized documents that we can sort of put in there loose leaf, and then the thing will scan it. For stuff that's going in state agency publications, for the Arizona Memory Project, for example, it's good enough. It doesn't need to be the super high resolution. It's you can read the text. It's fine. So when you need to sort of make quick scans, we'll kind of use the Ryko for that. So here's kind of the problem, and this is why we're trying to figure out how we're supposed to reuse this one scan, because here's the problem. Okay, so it's for an immediate use. We did it for the patron. Well, now what? Now you have a bunch of scans that are just sort of around. We have a shares drive that all staff can access, but everybody has their own documents folder. They may have just saved it on the desktop. There are probably hundreds of folders in our shares drive just for the library. And so all of us have our own collection folders, and so within those collection folders, maybe there's one patron scans, and so now they're sort of all over the place. And without someone, one of the staff making a scan and specifically saying, oh, I've made a scan for a patron, if another patron in the future wants the same thing, it's over here. And even if they sent that email, no one's ever going to remember that. So now you have a bunch of scans lying around. So what do you sort of do with them. Sure, they've served their immediate purpose for the patron request, but again, if a patron wants the same thing later, if it's a popular thing, where are they supposed to go? They're just sitting around. So how do we make them usable and discoverable beyond their immediate purpose? So for the moment, we're sort of still working on this, but we have two different things that we're kind of going on. So there was on a memory project. For those who don't know, it's a platform for digital history collections that we collect from institutions throughout the state of Arizona. So museums, library archives, historical societies, they digitize some of their collections or parts of some of their collections, and scan, put out in the memory project. So there's Florida memory, Montana memory, every state has some version of this. And because the memory project is often so collection based, we didn't really have a place for all these random scans to go because they're not really part of a collection, as it were. So one thing that we did do was we sort of created, it's the first name I thought of, we can change it at any time, but it's just sort of the Arizona History Grab Bag Collection. So we just sort of created a space to sort of put those scans in there. One of the reasons we were hesitant to do that in the first place is because we're in the middle of a huge metadata cleanup, and 2 years ago, I think, at one of the DPLA fests, so in 2017 actually, a coworker and I did a presentation on cleaning up a digital junk drawer, which AMP had sort of become. And so it's like we were trying to actively get away from just sort of dumping stuff in there and being like, I don't know where to put it, just throw it in the memory project. But as we're sort of cleaning up our existing collections, we thought, okay, well, if we sort of alert everybody to the fact that this is a grab bag, it is what you see is what you get, and you're just happy to browse or find random things, you can find it through a search. The collection is published. It's not just a back-end thing that only we can see. We thought that, okay, if we're honest about what it is and we don't sort of, make any promises about what's in there, then sure, we apply the same metadata standards, so we're not just dumping single items in there, because we do actually want people to find this stuff. So, we upload it like anything else, except it's us doing it, and we sort of just put it in there. I haven't looked at the usage numbers for it yet, but I'm sure it's all of us looking at it right now. So once it's sort of, had some time, we'll go look and see what, if people are really finding it, and we can promote it through social media and stuff, but we're just starting now to, figure out what to do with these types of things. And the other big thing that we've done is story maps. And so for anyone who's not familiar, it's a GIS application. We use ArcGIS, which is sold by Esri, and they basically have a story map template which you can use to upload map scans and other images, videos you can do. And they have a number of templates, and so you can use these maps, these single scans or photos or images or whatever, and use them as the basis of an historical narrative of some sort. So I am going to attempt to jump out to the internet. I don't care. It's not my computer. I'm just kidding. I'll show you just one. We have 3 right now. Railroad maps, that's historic maps of rail yard stations in Arizona paired with photographs of those stations. Place names, we had a bunch of newspaper clippings that are now in the Arizona Memory Project collection that links to this story map where you can sort of navigate and scroll through and find out, oh, Flagstaff got its name according to this paper because someone literally ran a flag up a staff, I guess. So a bunch of newspaper clippings about that sort of thing. That's fine. And then Shape of Arizona. This is the one. I still need to get these map scans. We have the scans that we did. I still need to get them in the Arizona Memory Project now that we have this new grab bag collection we can sort of put them in. And I may create a special map grab bag collection because they're pretty, whatever. So, but essentially, this one is the most narrative format of it. And so I mentioned I'm the digital history, that's the memory project, and maps librarian, that's our story maps. And so I sort of do both. And so when we do scans like this for maps, I'm always thinking of, how can we get this into sort of a story map template? So this one was pretty fun because it kind of goes through how Arizona got its shape, and by shape I mean its current geopolitical boundaries. So we sort of go back in history and kind of show that, hey, look, there used to be, time was that Arizona wasn't shaped like it was, and none of the western states were. They all began as territories, right? So the original map scan, we ran it through a resource called Map Warper, and so what that allows you to do is upload your scan, put it next to modern satellite imagery, georectify, so you're telling the platform essentially that, okay, on this point of the map matches this point in real life, and so basically it takes those and then it warps the map so that it fits. And depending on how many points you put in or how off the map is, so this one is kind of goofy around here, but the ones where you can see that this one lined up a lot better. So, we were able to use the maps from our special maps collection to sort of do this project. And so now, if a patron asks for these maps, which they have, one of them I think started out, I think the first scan we didn't have to do because the patron had it, and because I'm the maps person, I happened to know where it was on the shares drive. So we had it there, and then it's going to go into the memory project, and then it's also in here. So yes, so that's kind of the idea for maps anyhow. I guess I'm done. So the main, and part of it is, just because he's like, I know that 14 staff is, sounds like luxurious to many institutions. It's kind of relative to how we used to be. We're kind of lean, and I know it sounds funny to some of you, but, don't want to, upset anybody by saying 14 is lean. However, because there are 14 of us who are doing scans, and we do have a lot of patron requests that we're trying to accommodate, we just want to make extra sure that, the scans that we're doing, we're being as efficient as possible as we can with the time and resources and other stuff that we've all got to do. So, so that's what I have to say about that.